This one's for all you downstreaming junkies. In today's episode, we are talking about how to downstream a house like the professionals. Now, that's pretty easy enough, guys. I'm going to put up here on the screen for you the 3 phases that we utilize in Mr. Bubbles. Phase 1, you just want to sauce up that wall. Phase 2, you want to spot treat it. And finally, phase 3, we are going to rinse. Okay, so Jamie and I are doing this house together. I'm actually going to be training him. If you guys have been following the channel, on episode 69, so 2 episodes ago, we started. I think that was Jamie's 8th or 9th house. I know this is his 10th for sure. And we've been doing this, I guess, unofficial series on how to train an employee. And this is something that we're going to be talking about a lot on this video, as you guys can see us work together here in doing this house. Oh, and by the way, we always talk about this on every single one of our episodes, how we got this job. And how we got this job is actually through the Nextdoor app. It is one of my go-to favorites for marketing. That is one of the digital marketing platforms that we highly, highly recommend for new guys. We run like I want to say it's $128 a month ad through the entire year. And again, very inexpensive form of marketing, guys. You know, you're targeting here in our area, it's like 250 neighborhoods for $128 a month. And that's how we picked up this job here. And by the way, I found this out later that day when we finished this job. The customer was so happy, told the neighbors. We ended up picking up both of her neighbors that are on the schedule for next week. And that is what this is all about. That is how you do it. You know, you do quality work out there, guys, and that is what happens. You end up picking up neighbors in a neighborhood. So moving on to this house wash here, downstreaming phase 1, that's all we're worried about is saucing up that wall. Of course, you know, I always mention this pretty much in every single one of my downstreaming videos. We are using a 50-50 mix. If you do not know what that means, I recommend you go back and watch our episode 10. In that episode, we do a deep dive into the essential chemicals of the pressure washing business. We talk about SH, we talk about degreasers, your rust removals. And what's awesome about that episode 10, guys, is that we give you a batch mixing calculator on there so you can mix your own bleach. Okay, so let's go back here. You know, now we're on the second wall here, guys. We're just hitting this with our house mix. You go from ground to gutter. You start low and you work your way up with the fan tip from one corner of the wall all the way to the other corner with your fan tip. When you get to a certain corner, you change to your shooter tip, right? Your second story tip. And then you hit all the areas that are high that you did not reach with your fan tip. And as I was saying in episode 69, we've been coaching up Jamie here. Jamie's been with the company for 4 months, and we've been coaching him up now. We started, I want to say it was about 2 weeks ago, we started him on a house washing regimen. And this is what I really wanted to talk to you guys about, as you're going to see me jumping in here to help him once in a while here on screen. And also I will be jumping in to talk a little bit about this house wash and what is happening on screen. Again, guys, we're downstreaming this. And also a lot of you guys do ask me, we're actually using the equipment that we're using is featured in our episode 1. That same rig is in the field today. So if you guys are wondering what type of equipment we're using, there you go, guys. Just watch episode 1 and we do a complete walk around of our rig for that. So a lot of you guys have been emailing me and asking me about, employees and what my take is and how it is that we do it. We are Mr. Bubbles. You got to remember, we've been doing this for 11 years. So through the years, we've hired dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of guys. So we've gone through several processes, and one of the things that I mentioned the most on my channel, one of the words that I mentioned the most is the word systems. All right. And we have a house washing system. We have a marketing system, administration system. And we also have a system for how we train all of our employees. And in this case here, when a guy has 90 days with us, so his first 3 months essentially, all we're doing, and remember, Jaime or Jamie here, he has over 90 days. He's in his 4th month, right? So we have a 90-day regimen, and then we have a 6-month regimen, or 180 days, and then we have a 9 months to a year type regimen, right? And this is what we're gonna, for the purposes of this specific video, we're gonna talk training about, what do you do when you have an employee, and what are you going to do to train him properly your first 90 days. And by the way, just to show you guys here, I actually jumped in here because one of the mistakes that I've noticed that Jamie is making, and again, guys, go back to, if you haven't done already, watch episode 69, because we talked about this, the 3 tips. And one of them, if you guys remember, was not to be constantly switching between your shooter tip and your fan tip. Like, essentially, you want to only do that once or twice per wall. And the other thing we talked about, the mistake, and Jamie is making that mistake here as well in this job. A mistake that a lot of you guys make is they don't really understand how the chemical works. And so they're sitting there and they're hitting. And, with the chemical, basically, you just want to spray it and leave it on, because there is a dwell time with that. And then the other technique you see me a lot on video, all my downstreaming videos, is being able to switch the gun from your left to your right hand without the gun going off. And one of the mistakes that I see Jamie making here in this house is he's moving so fast and he's not saucing up the entire wall. So this is something that we're working on him with house washing now. But so going back here for a second, guys, essentially, when I hired Jamie, right, I hired him as a helper, as a guy who came highly recommended. We got him through a friend of a family. Whenever you guys are going to the point, or are going to reach the point where you're going to start growing your company, when you hire people, the first thing that I recommend you do is search within your inner circle, right? Within your community, maybe your church, people you know, friends and family members. Because I would say throughout the years, 80% of my workers, even, my best workers, have come in, by me networking, with people. And through those relationships, I was able to get employees. And again, this is how I'm going to tell you exactly the story of how I met Jamie. So, you know how I tell you guys all the time that I network with people and I go to networking events? Well, in one of those events, I met a guy who has a big landscaping company, because, that's what you do in these events, networking events, is you meet other entrepreneurs. I met this entrepreneur. I actually ended up doing his house and then a bunch of his neighbors. This was like 2-3 years ago. So as the years went on, we built this relationship. I do a bunch of houses for him. And then at the beginning of the year, I noticed that he's got like 28, I want to say either 28 or 38 employees. And so I called him and I said, hey, man, I know you got a lot of employees. I'm looking for a right-hand guy. And I told him exactly specifics of what I was looking for. Couple months goes by. Out of the blue, one day he calls me up and he says, hey, man, yeah, I got this guy for you. Here's his number. And then that's how I got to Jamie, through networking. So through your own inner circle. That's how I recommend it first. If that doesn't work, then you look at options of putting flyers up and things of that nature. But anyway, I digress. The point here is that in Jamie's, when you have an employee like Jamie and they're within their 90 days, okay? What you want to do, and again, we already went through this process with Jamie, in his first 90 days, any employee that you have, you want them to master the basics. And to me, when we're talking about mastering the basics, we're talking home protection, plant protection, and then the basics of how the rig works, like hooking up your water, rolling up your hoses, getting the ladder. So the basics of how your rig works. And then I really, really want to go heavy on coaching them up on how to pressure wash and surface clean. So I want, for example, when we pull up, Jamie is the one who's going to be doing, for example, the blue tape on the Verizon boxes and all your electrical outlets and moving any potted plants and again, home protection, plant protection. He's the one that's connecting to the water and he's the one that's pulling the hoses. Anything that I need out of the truck, like extension ones or a bucket to clean out the basement, he'll go do that. If I need the ladder, he'll go do that and he'll put it back. Like as a general helper, his first 90 days, just mastering the basics and the essential basics of how the rig works. You explain the buffer tank. You explain what's a downstream injector. How to roll up the hoses. The pressure washing hose and the water hose, how to connect the water properly, and then how to troubleshoot small things, right? And then as the weeks roll on into his third week, fourth week, he starts to master those things really, really well. And about halfway into this program, I let him do the 5 rounds because in the 5 rounds, he might have to talk to people. So then I give him like a little pitch that he can use. And then he starts to feel more comfortable with the basic stuff. And as all of that stuff is happening, right around the halfway point, you're heavy, really, really heavy into teaching him concrete cleaning. So I'll give you an example. So about 5 weeks ago, from 5 weeks ago to about a week ago, all that Jamie's been doing besides the home protection and the plant protection stuff is he's been doing all the basement stairwells, all the concrete patios, all the driveways, all of the walkways, sidewalks, surface cleaning. So every single house that we've been to where there was a driveway, he was doing the driveway, I was downstreaming the house. Guys, within the first 90 days of having an employee, if that person's within their first 90 days, I am not teaching that person downstreaming or soft washing. I'm not having them do anything as far as the house yet because this is where they can damage things. This is where, I would say 98% of your complaints are going to come from. We're going to get back to this training thing, guys. And so I want to talk a little bit about what's happening on screen. One of the things that I will say, I pretty much mentioned this almost in every single one of our videos. The very first thing we did when we got to this house, as I was talking to the customer, Jamie went all around, did the home protection. See the Verizon boxes there, guys? He's blocking it right now, but when he moves, you'll see it. They're covered with a plastic bag. And then he went around the entire property and taped up. You see the AC unit there. We put a little bit of blue tape above that. We taped up all of the electrical outlets. We taped up the cameras. We taped up everything. Anything that could be damaged by our solution. And then right after that, because we were already connected to water, Jamie actually went around and did the 5 around for me while I was pulling the pressure line and setting up the cameras. Then he came back and he started doing the house wash. And by the way, guys, so he went all around. You saw him going all around in phase 1, right? We talked about sauce up that wall. Now he is in phase 2. In phase 2, we're doing spot treating. So this wall here had... Oh, man, this wall here was really bad, guys. So essentially, we're hitting this wall twice. This wall here had years of organic growth. So he's hitting all of the spots that were really resilient to the solution. He's touching all of that stuff up with the fan tip. With the shooter tip, which has a little bit more pressure. And again, he's basically doing this whole wall twice. But that's what you want to do. In a phase 1, you just want to make sure that your solution is on the entire house. You go wall by wall by wall. And I've often Very often have I mentioned this. You always want to start at your dirtiest side first because that's where you want the chemical to sit the longest. So now Jamie is on the second side. Again, guys, all we're doing here is we're spot treating. Spot treating. You're just hitting spots that are green, black, bird poop, things of that nature. Like the goal during the spot treatment phase is not to hit the entire wall. All you're doing is you're doing exactly what the word entails. You're spot treating. Okay. So now going back to the 90-day training program, right? So you got your guys doing home protection. You're teaching them, for example, how to move potted plants or how to cover pots, big potted plants that can't be moved, or you're teaching them home protection, how to cover Verizon box, things of that nature, the things that you would normally be doing. While those things are going on, you're setting yourself up for the house wash. Now, within those 90 days, let's say you go to a house, and this is a very good example because you have a lot of these, and all you're doing is the house wash. Well, your helper is helping you roll out your hoses, helping you with the plant protection, house protection. Then he's going to help you with your 5-arounds because, again, guys, that's super important. So once that is 100% done, then what he's going to do is you're going to teach him how to be your linesman. Essentially, he's going to drag the line for you so you don't get snagged up on anything. Believe it or not, guys, this is a huge time saver when you have somebody work your line for you. So this is exactly what you're doing with the employee after. During those 90 days. And by the way, guys, real quick here on screen, as you can see here, we went through the spot treating phase, and finally we are on the third phase, and the final phase of this house wash is the rinse phase, guys. And remember, with the rinse phase, you want to leave the house chemical-free, windows chemical-free, and the plants chemical-free. So there you go. Back to the training. So we have a 90. This is what you should do also, guys, by the way. Everything should be systematic. Everything that you do, if you want to have a successful, thriving pressure washing business. So that 90-day, your guy is just mastering the basics. So if you're doing the house wash and you need a ladder, your guy should be able to know how to get the ladder, how to put it back. He should be able to, if you need to touch up something with your jug, he should be able to do that. He should be able to do a basement stairwell by himself, be able to do a concrete cleaning, driveway, and we're talking driveway. Remember, guys, we're talking about pre-treat, cutting, surface cleaning, rinsing, and then doing the post-treat. Like he should be able to do all of that without your supervision, right? As you're doing the house wash. This is what that 90-day program is, mastering the basics. Again, the most important part to me, because you guys got to remember this. You're building a future technician. And this is what we're talking about, right? We're not talking about keeping a helper forever, just being a helper. The idea here is eventually you guys want to be out of the truck. Eventually you just want to have technicians out there, and your business could turn into a passive income business where, basically you're just driving around doing sales and marketing, and you let your team out in the field do the work, right? And in order for that to happen, they have to have a very solid foundation. A lot of people, what they do with new employees is from day one, oh, this is how you do a house wash. It's super simple. And you put them on a gun, and by day 2, they're washing a house. I would not do that. Again, what I would do is I would have your guy master the basics, master everything that is home protection, that is house protection. I'm sorry, the same thing. House protection, plant protection, a little bit of marketing with your 5-around, and the essentials, guys, the essentials of how the rig works. Now, in the case of Jamie here, right, he's in our 4th month, and that is why now, guess what, guys? I don't need to, like, when Jamie and I go to a house together, as we're pulling up, I tell him, hey, this is what we're doing. You're going to do this. I'm going to do that. Now he has mastered the basics so well so well that I have basically that is how the progress, the progress of your employee should go. Right around the 90th day, he should be ready for the house wash portion of the training, which Jamie isn't now. He's in that second leg. He's within the basically the next 3 to 6 months, all I'm going to be doing is teaching him house washing, because Jamie's already done like 25, 30 driveways, about 15 or 20 basement stairwells. Like when I pull up, I don't even have to go behind him anymore to check that stuff. He does it so well. So now I started teaching him about, I want to say it was about 4 or 5 days ago, maybe the beginning of last week, right around there. I started teaching him how to do the house washing. And this is a process, guys. It's a process. Like, guys, you can't just go pick up a worker, a day worker, and have him the very next day downstreaming, because it simply does not work that way. Because, if they just go to a house, if your technician is not properly trained, they're going to damage people's things. They're going to kill people's plants. They're going to damage the siding. They're going to damage the chemical's going to get in the outlets, and they're going to, trip their Wi-Fi, and all kinds of things can happen. So you have to be a little bit, cognizant of the fact that, this is skilled labor. We talk about this all the time, right? One of my favorite saying is, skilled labor ain't cheap and cheap labor ain't skilled. You guys heard me say that a couple times. And right now, Jamie at the beginning of next season, and his training with me will be officially done by March. On the 1st of April of next year, we're going to promote him to a technician, and he's going to be part of a 2-man team. So it's going to be him plus a driver, so 2 technicians, and the other driver is going to be the lead. So every time they go to a house, Jamie, by then, right, we're in the beginning of October right now. So we still got October, November, December, January, February. We get a lot of house washing, at least we do, throughout the winter, because we do a lot of real estate, and, we're still house washing like about 200 houses over the winter here at Mr. Bubbles. So, him and I are going to stay busy all the way to then. And then by then, guys, man, if he's not at the 100 house mark by then, and I mention this quite often on my channel, that is the first benchmark, something for you guys to shoot for as well. You guys that are listening to me, man, it's a huge milestone. I know it was for me, and it will be for you guys as well. A huge milestone when you hit your first 100th house. So, I told Jamie, I said, I was laughing at him the other day, for me, at least my point of view, my guys, I don't really consider their 100th house until they've done it, without me, because, it's different. It's going to be different when you send your employees, and they're working without you. But his first day without me is going to be the first week of April. And that is how long I usually hold on to an employee, is 4 to 6 months before I let them go. And by then, Jamie will be ready to, wash houses by himself if I need him to do that. And that is the point here, is the very following year. I'm not talking next season. I'm not talking 2024. By 2025, I want Jamie running his own rig. I want him to be a leader, because that's the point, guys. That is the point. You want to train a guy where one day he's going to be a lead, managing his own team. He'll know how to train. The whole process that I just talked to you guys about, how, you train a guy from the very, very minimal things. Like, and guys, like, what I do is I put a guy in charge of a thing, and then that guy is in charge of that thing until he masters it 100%. I mean, from day one, Jamie's first day with me, since he's been with me, I've never connected or disconnected from the water supply. I taught him in the first 2-3 houses. From there on, he's always connected to the water. He's always done the plant protection, the home protection. You see what I'm saying? Because once they master that stuff, it becomes a habit. Oh, and by the way, guys, here, so we're at the last wall here. So you guys saw, we went through phase 1. We sauced up the entire house, sauced up everything that was green, that was organic. We want that solution to kill all of those organics, right? Then we came all the way through with phase 2 with our shooter tip. and because it has a little bit more pressure and solution combined, bam, that's the KO punch right there. And then finally, we're in phase 3. We're at the very last wall we went through. Remember, guys, we always put about 10 seconds, 5 seconds per glass, so 10 seconds per window and 10 seconds per plant. As you see here, he's rinsing the windows and rinsing the plants, and you're going to see him here in a second go through and do a lot of rinsing. Remember, guys, do not leave chemicals on plants. They will absolutely, without a doubt, if you leave chemicals on plants, they will die. Trust me, I've done it. We all have done it. And you do not want to make those mistakes. Please learn from my mistakes. And there you have it. The house wash process here, by the way, it took Jamie. And remember, guys, this is his, man, I want to say, if it wasn't his 10th, it might have been his 12th. He told me today and I completely forgot. But anyway, so the point is, guys, it took Jamie 51 minutes to do this house. 51 minutes. And he's getting better and better. Again, I'm going to keep you guys updated on his progress on this thing. But yeah, I'm very proud of the way that he's going. So yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you very much for coming to my channel and watching this How to Downstream a House Like a Professional video. Highly recommend you guys watch the next episode as well. Guys, in that episode, you're going to be doing a house wash with me on a GoPro. I know you guys love it when I bust out the GoPro. But yeah, and also, guys, please email me. I absolutely love it when you email me. It's like one of my favorite parts of the day. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.